nuisance or against the ordinance, and I gave it to Mark Ross. He went up and took some pictures. I dropped one off, but I don't know if you guys had time to check on that. He was gonna have you check how many vehicles were licensed.
I haven't talked to Mark. I don't know anything about it.
Mark, yeah.
But we certainly will.
I dropped it off and gave it to whoever you were gone. You were on vacation.
Last week?
Last week.
Okay. Maybe Greg Hallback got it.
Yeah, she said she's gonna have some to
Okay.
check it out.
Greg's back to work tomorrow, so.
There's some appliances sitting in the yard too.
And I think we can certainly do that, Mike, but I think you have to draft a letter, don't you? Like we did with Comiskey?
Okay. I think somebody was gonna go to make sure that they were in violation.
Okay.
First.
Yeah, I'll check with Greg tomorrow on
Okay,
that,
yeah.
and then we'll communicate with the county attorney.
Okay, and just maybe let me know what's going on. I can
Yeah.
reply back to
Yep, we will.
complaining.
Absolutely.
It's in Mona. I don't know. I guess I've dealt with this guy before. I guess you guys have. So
Okay.
that tells you anything.
All right, sounds good. We'll
But,
take care of it.
okay. Yep.
Any other questions for the sheriff? All righty, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Moving down, county engineer update.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I guess some updates. The contractor's gonna be on site today at Highway 9 and Foothill doing some handwork, so that intersection will be closed. I wanna thank Greg and the EMA guy for sending the wind stuff out when I need it. It's been pretty beneficial, I think. It gets to a lot more people than just the system. I emailed you guys a link to sign up for the Iowa County Engineers Association, where we try to update those links too, but there's only, I don't know if there's maybe a few dozen people signed up for them, and not all of them are local, but it's a good tool if you guys want to hand that email address out. People can sign up for notifications that way also. They're going to be doing the intersection this week, and then I believe the last update I got late yesterday was probably paving Monday morning from Highway 9 going north. So project's going to kick in rather quick. So that's the update on that. We you know, since we got the little excavator, we've been looking for a trailer to pull behind a dump truck, and we found one, a used one, privately owned one down in the Des Moines area. It's a 2005 Trail King for about $13,000. And since we were kind of planning on budgeting for that anyway, I just wanted to give you guys an update and say we're probably going to purchase that trailer to pull behind a dump truck, so we can take the excavator, the little excavator, out with a dump truck instead of tying up the tractor trailer all the time. So we had somebody go down and look at it, and it's in pretty good shape. It's got new tires on last year. It's metal, the DOT inspection since this person's owned it. So probably going to take that route. One thing, a couple things yet. That one thing affects you guys now is I got notification yesterday that Austin Walk is going to be moving to conservation. He accepted a position with conservation, so the weed commissioner position is no longer probably going to be filled by him, and so we'll need to figure out what we're going to do with roadside managing and weed commissioner. I assume that you guys will want me to hire somebody that can fill the position the same way Austin did, but he'll be moving over to conservation July 1. So kind of the dead heat of spraying right now, but he'll work right up until June 30th and then switch over. So I think he's willing to help out with anything. I'm going to have him look through the job description a little bit and see if there's any modification he feels we need to add or delete from the job description, so we can get applicants that meet it. Any comments on that?
Offer within to begin with?
Well, we'll offer within to begin with. Yeah.
Okay.
See if anybody really wants that position, but yeah.
So, would the board members be agreeable to just let Rich handle that then? Sure. It sounds like the consensus of the board is, Rich, that you...
We'll post something today, see if anybody in the shops want it. We'll post it for a week, and then we'll see. Well, in the meantime, we'll try to get something out to the papers so we get everything advertised right away too. The other thing I sent was it last week, I think, was this bike ride that I didn't know anything about through the county, and kind of emailed everybody that would be involved in it. And the email came. I got a call from Howard County, and he was surprised. He didn't have any idea that there was a bike ride going to be on their county roads, and I guess the organizers of this bike ride had participants sign a waiver, but the waiver didn't include some of the, from what I understand, it didn't include some of the Iowa communities that, or even like Howard County's road. They didn't have any waivers to hold them harmless, and so I thought maybe it was something we need to do. I saw Mark's response the other day on, yeah, I know they're public roads, but if they're having people sign waivers to sign up for this, I don't know whether we should be included or not. Mark, do you have any comments on that?
Mark, do you have anything to comment?
Well, as I just kind of said in the email, it would be nice if Howard County would have added that Mitchell County to it.
Well,
The practical application is if they want to come and use our roads, there's nothing Mitchell County can do to stop them. And just briefly, the law is if you're riding a bike on a road and there's some hazard there and you get hurt, tough luck. Okay? Now, the problem is, and this is about 10 years ago, Greg Fry had that relief, and a guy was riding a bike through a county, and he crossed a railroad tracks, and he fell, and he hit his head, and he died. In reality, I don't know why. Maybe the county just felt bad, but they actually ended up settling that case for $200,000. I don't think they had any liability. But, you know, sometimes insurance companies say it's too much of a risk. But, like I said, it'd be nice in future ones if they added Mitchell County, but
well, to add to that, it wasn't Howard County put it together. Howard County got it. It's a Minnesota shooting trail ride or whatever. So those organizers up in Minnesota did that. Howard County contacted them and said, hey, you didn't add Howard County, and you might want to think about adding the other communities you're riding through. But I don't think he's gotten a response from them yet either. But I just wanted you to be aware of it and the board to be aware of it, that there's going to be some bike ride going on, and they're going to be using some of our roads. And the Ragbri thing is what kind of spurred everything, knowing what happened there and whether or not we needed to be put on a hold harmless agreement or something. But I understand too, Mark, what you're saying. It's public road. We can't really deny it, but
That must be everything for that then.
I guess.
I guess that is.
So that's where we're at on that, I guess. So if you guys got any comments or questions, we can.
Yeah, one question on the foothill paving yet again. So they're gonna do handwork on the radiuses, main line also, or?
They're
just
gonna do,
radiuses?
I think they're gonna do the handwork on the radiuses, and then the following day, I don't know which one they're gonna do first, if they're gonna do the main line part to the radius and then do the radiuses second, or whatever. They're gonna get away from Highway 9 so that when they start paving next week, they're not gonna be
I just don't
in
want to do
traffic.
the radiuses and then putting the paver on the.
Yeah, no, I think they're gonna do handwork. Well, and if they do put it on the radiuses will be cured out by then when they do that, but
It'd be
I don't
pretty
think-
heavy for the paper for that.
they've done that before, but I don't think they're gonna be doing it that way. I think they're getting getting out of the Highway 9 right away so they can
That'd be good.
prep, so that's the understanding I have anyway.
Do you know how many miles they're gonna do a day?
No, and it's tough right now to figure out because it's a 6-inch overlay and they're coming out of Dino Quarry. Our 4-inch stuff back in the day, they could almost pull a mile, but it depends on where the plant's set up. I'm not gonna get too optimistic that they'll get a mile a day. They might get half a mile, 3/4. I don't know. Well, and when they did Lancer, they were closer to the project there too. I don't remember how many miles they were, what they were getting a day and whatnot, but they won't get a mile a day. But I think we'll be done. They still plan on the paving being done. Well, I think it's a 2-week paving project at the most, but then we still got shoulders and stuff. Their new schedule shows that paving will still be done by the 4th, and they'll still probably be doing some granular work. But when the granular work is going on, I think that relieves some of the stresses of the locals. So hard to say right now, and obviously the closer they get to town, the faster they'll pave, just because they'll have less miles to travel.
Any other questions for Rich? Okay.
We had a couple, not related to that, but, I don't know, somebody asked me about Primrose Avenue Bridge up there 1/2 mile off the state line.
Mm-hmm.
What's the status on that? Is it ever gonna get replaced, or is it,
Is there a problem with the bridge?
well, it's closed.
Oh, that one up there, okay.
Yeah.
You said Primrose, I was thinking
Yeah,
the one on the
Primrose
highway.
North.
Well, that all depends on how the board wants to spend the bridge money. That's not gonna be a
Two
cheap
people
bridge to
living on the
replace.
North end, there's a hog house on the south end. and
Yep, you're
farmers
looking
that
at
wanna
probably,
travel between and.
you're looking probably at $1 million bridge.
For that,
Yeah, it's a
You're
long
talking
span.
about the dog leg?
well, yeah, that,
Dogleg room.
No, weren't we gonna put some pipe in there?
You can't put
railroad
pipe
cars?
in the little cedar like that, you can't.
the little cedar goes across state line, this is the branch.
This is the
This,
dog leg.
This is a
You're-
Dogleg Road bridge.
Yeah.
oh, up north of Statesville, I got you,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
got you. I got you.
Oh, you're
Yep,
thinking
yep,
of the
yep.
cedar there.
Yep, I'm thinking
yeah,
of the
there's
one
two
south.
bridges
Yep,
out there,
yep.
out that close, yeah.
Uh,
This is half mile off.
I'm
the state
sorry,
line.
when you said that, I was thinking of the pony truck, the truck
Well,
bridge.
that's what's $1 million for that little creek.
Yeah, yeah, no, no. Yeah, I guess we've always tried to plan on doing something, but priorities have kicked in since nobody, you get one house in the north end, and
There's
I've,
two on the north side.
on the very north end up by the state line, there's a house, and they've always gone around in the hog confinement. People years ago said they aren't bothered by it being closed, so I guess, I mean, we can certainly,
I've had some input on it, so I'm just asking.
we can put our forces towards it, it just reduces the forces on someplace else on a road that takes very little traffic north and south, a lot of it comes from the south to the, it's the board's prerogative, you want me to,
I don't know how long that bridge has been closed.
it's been almost 10 years.
Has it been that
Yeah.
long?
And I know the two landowners or two farmers on the north that have houses would prefer the road stay closed, and I know the hog building people would prefer the road, stay closed. But I do know there are some locals there that would like to see it open. So
Yeah.
I guess,
I know that there's always access because the wind tower roads run back and forth, and they've got their private roads that run east and west through there that I think they've always been managing, but
Yeah.
I guess
It was just asked, so I said I would.
there's nothing in the direct plan, we've always wanted to do something there, but everything else kind of popped up more critical than that, because there's really not a lot of activity up in that area, as far as, other than the local people driving through there, it's not much of a through road, so you guys want me to program it for
I guess
whatever, we can, I mean, we'll do our program and
let's have a
December
discussion on
again.
that, whether any, what are your?
we can probably get by with, we can probably figure out some low water crossing type situation if we wanted to go that route too, but
When you said local, Steve, you mean more or less drive-through traffic people, not people living on the segment, but just drive-throughs.
I know one is a farmer that farms dirt up there, but another one is a local that just, hey, we should have money spent in our area. So, again,
Throw them some money.
again, yeah.
I
that's-
know, yeah, but
I'm just saying what they told me, I'm not gonna say that person's name, but, I'm sure that it is, the people that live on it are happy the way it is. It's just that there's some people out there that wished it was to be open. We have to figure out what's the right way.
so that's a structure to be considered state money, correct?
it could be,
So what's how many tank cars would it take to do that? That's
I-
wide open.
I think maybe years ago, we kind of were evaluating possibly 3, but even if we put 3, we'd probably still need a low water overflow on it, so it wouldn't be something tiny unless we really wanted to design something small with a bigger low water crossing to take the majority of to take the normal flows, we could probably make it work, but then I don't, without going through a whole analysis, we don't know how low we'd have to go and how much room we would need to take the volume after the heavy rains came through, so.
And that road is fairly high on each side.
It is,
It sits up
so we'd be
And,
cutting material out.
I don't believe that a low water crossing, I think over the years, them low water crossings, we end up paying for what we do in rock and equipment time and after a flood. I think in the tail end, it's a wash. I think you're spending it anyway, so it probably will be better to get in a few railroad cars put in there.
You think it'd take that many?
Yes. Yes,
What was that, Mike?
You think it'd take that many? I mean, downstream from it, you got, what do you
but
got?
it's a low water crossing.
What do you got, 1 tube down there, right?
There's 2 down there.
There's 2 on the cedar and then that creek, I think there's only one. One on that creek, and this is that same creek.
But it's, you have the low water area in there.
I mean, where it runs over the road.
Right.
If it needed to.
I don't know how those downstream structures were designed.
There's the rail car tubes is what's down a mile, across the mile. The next road.
You'd want to match what's in the bridge.
Yeah, you don't wanna undersize something.
Yeah. Now it looks like it's like a wooden deck bridge.
It is, yeah.
Then the next thing you got like Benny's Bridge, they're gonna be wanting that open.
Yep, that's the one I thought Mike
Yeah,
was
that's-
talking
yeah,
about.
that-
Now
that
you're
one's
talking some
bigger
big
project.
money, Level B Road.
Yeah, but now that one, nobody lives on it, and I don't know.
Yeah, that's, I don't see it need to be open. I know there's locals there, and I had somebody talk to me last week on that too. But it gets to the point where, what do you do?
Yeah.
How much use is it getting? And, I don't think that would pay up to put in a bridge, and you'd still have to have a little water crossing there.
And I don't know which way their feed comes in on that hog confinement. Do you know, Mark, whether it comes in? Because we do have a level B on the north side that we could probably not treat as a level B road if that's, but I think they're coming in from either, well, obviously they're coming in from the east or the west, but I don't know if they're coming from Monument across or if they're coming from, I don't know which way, direction they're bringing the feed in from, but
But that bridge is there, they come in off the state there, Little Cedar.
they could, yeah.
They
But
got shorter
Oh, that
gravel.
one, oh, that, okay.
But
Back
they'd
to that
still
bridge.
come off the Little Cedar a mile east.
A lot less gravel if that bridge is open.
Again, that bridge is gonna be $1 million plus.
Yeah, I'm not sure where the feed comes for that one.
Takes a lot.
Oh, yeah, it does.
yeah, it does take a lot. It's a big facility.
You wanna run some numbers on the Dogleg Road one and just see what it takes to?
It's gonna take me a little bit of time to run numbers with everything else going on.
At least we'll have
It's
some
been closed
idea.
for 10 years, you know, it's like,
Anyways,
then there was, the other thing was, I know I brought up that road south of Mitchell, the cemetery road, that's half owned by Mitchell and half owned by Mitchell County. Yeah, nobody's bladed it all, so.
Yeah, I went down there the other day and I only saw, I don't know, there weren't a whole lot of potholes
No,
on
there
it,
wasn't.
but
It's-
I'll,
I think the people live in, think nobody's taking care of them.
well, and
You know
it's,
what I mean?
yeah, right, yeah. I drove it and I'm like, oh, there's certainly not, but
It's not terrible.
I'll check it since we've had rain. I don't think, last time I went, we hadn't had rain yet, so I'll check and see what's going on there and
Yeah.
when we get out
I know
there.
the weeds are growing in, you know, usually when you guys blade.
Yep.
You kinda get rid of that too. I don't know, so I don't know if that's a Mitchell thing or.
We kinda go back and
Go
forth.
back and
We'll,
forth. Yeah,
we'll run down it.
but that was brought to my attention also, so I'm just passing things on.
Yep.
Didn't Mitchell at one time have a road grader?
Well, they still do,
Still do.
yeah.
They just soon have you guys.
Well, there's kind of been this standing agreement that, you know, I can't remember what it was, whether we kind of blade it in the summer and they'll take the snow off it in the wintertime because it's a dead end for us and
Yeah.
there's always kind of this
I
standing
think they do blade.
back and forth kind of thing, so it's,
That's what the guy told me, he thought you guys did it in the summer and Mitchell did it during the winter, blading the snow, so I don't know.
nothing official, I guess. It's just kind of been this gentleman's agreement, if you want to call it that.
Yep.
okay, Rich, I better get to what I needed to talk to you about while we still have Mark here. I had a message on my machine, answering machine. Keith Williams, up near the state line, questioned about a road, and this was on discussion on a board meeting here last summer or last fall, I don't remember when. And at that time, it was more or less decided by the two of the three supervisors that this road has been abandoned by the county. Many years ago, I was one of the employees that took the signs down, and we have Keith Williams would like to have that open back up, I guess. And anyways, it's only goes back a couple 100 yards is what we had been not maintaining. It basically is all grown up and trees and everything, but anyways, he would like to have the county take it back. Well, there's a reason why we abandoned it, and we have abandoned it. I will let Rich have the floor now.
It's Bridle Avenue, I think it was once called Bridle Avenue, it doesn't have a
Bridle
name
Avenue.
anymore, there's no street sign at that location, but
Is that
it
the
comes
one I
up,
walked back there that time?
Pardon me?
Is that the one I walked back there?
it might be, it's right off the state line headed south, and the whole right of way is.
The forest?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
all
yeah.
trees.
Yeah.
And looking back at the historical photography, from what I can tell, the road has never been maintained as a road from the 1950s.
Correct.
I know there's been a path through there for access. There used to be, I think, a little cabin down there, but that's long gone, and the trees have always grown up, and now it's a forest from the right-of-way line all the way down to the south. It's a closed road, according to the DOT maps that we have, so most times, yeah, if it's a closed road, there's a reason it's closed, and it serves really no purpose for the county.
Agreed.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
Roads will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a forest.
Yeah.
It's gonna cost,
I couldn't walk on the road, I had to walk along the fence line to go back there to see what was back there. And it's just the river, there's nothing back there.
there's no established ditches,
No.
that I could tell. I mean, with the forest there, it's hard to say.
So who owns the land currently? The landowner?
I think Keith owns part of it, I believe.
I-
I'm not for sure.
I don't know who owns what. I know it, on the GIS, it still shows up as right of way, but
It would be a super nice place to build a house back there along the river, but the county's expense to make that happen for an individual would be ridiculous.
Okay. Mark, would you like to add anything to this?
What I would add is, I would have to see the paperwork, if there was actually a resolution or anything that abandoned the roads legally or closed the roads legally before I could tell you the specifics of this case. But the general law is, the county received an easement back when those roads were originally platted, when the state was created. And then the county came in and did their plats. And what the county had was an easement on those original land grants. And so the law says if a road is ever abandoned, it goes to the adjoining property owners. So if that road was abandoned legally, then it's impossible for Mitchell County to come back in and say, we're going to take it back again and turn it back into a road. Legally, even if you wanted to, you couldn't do it. The same thing if it was closed, it goes to the adjoining property owners. So if that was done legally, even if the county wanted to, they couldn't do it. Just as a practical matter, I don't know, Rick, let's just say they hadn't and you wanted to turn it back into a road, you're talking hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, aren't you?
well, I wouldn't probably go as high as millions, but you're talking a substantial six-figure number to reestablish that road.
Yeah,
I'd hate to guess that it'd be at least 600,000, if not more, and it's not a mile. Because you've got a whole roadbed to
legally, I would have to see the papers before I could give you an opinion as to when it was abandoned, but the general rule is, if it was abandoned, it's gone. There's nothing the county can do with it, even if they wanted to.
Okay, what if the supervisors abandoned it but never did the legal paperwork on it?
I would have to check on that, but I'm relatively confident that it just automatically goes back to them. Now, most people will say, hey, give me a deed. When we've abandoned them before, and I've done this for cities, on alleys, the act of abandoning it automatically makes it go back to the property owner. But to create a clear chain of title when they go to sell it or whatever, the city also does in their document, and this portion goes to this person, and this portion goes to this person, and things like that. But, legally, you don't understanding of title, and I also say plat maps, GIS maps, things like that, don't rely on those for ownership. I mean, they're a nice place to start, but I was, doing a real estate transaction the other day. I knew who owned the property, and it was a substantial amount. I mean, we're talking a farm, 180 acres, and there was nothing listed in their name. Well, the tax statements were being sent to the daughter, so then I thought, I'll just check the daughter's name. And sure enough, then it popped up. So if you looked on the Sidwell map, you would think, oh, this daughter owns all this real estate. No, she doesn't own it. She's just getting the tax bills. So GIS maps, Sidwells are a nice place to start, but don't ever make the mistake of relying on one of those to determine where a property line is or where ownership is, because the law is clear that a Sidwell map and a GIS map, the only thing they do is determine who's responsible for paying the taxes on that piece of property. Legally, that's all they do. And I think if you ever even sign on to the GIS map, it has, you have to accept something, and I think it says something like this, that you cannot rely on these. So, long answer.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
But if he wants the road redone, sometimes you just don't get to it. don't you?
I can tell you it's officially a closed road. And whether, yeah, you
And
can't,
if you're gonna build a road, you got better things to do. than
we got a lot of better
build
things to
a
do.
road.
And it's basically a glorified driveway if one person's gonna live on the end of it.
If he wants to build a house, the house can be built before the road.
But
We get to it.
And it's
I
a
think it's just
one-way
financially,
in and one way out, right?
pardon me?
I mean, it doesn't hook up to another.
No, it's a
road.
dead end, yeah,
So
because you got the
that's-
river, I think, if you look at GIS, and I know you're not supposed to, but just for guidance purposes, the GIS doesn't go all the way down the river, so it's a dead end road. Yeah, it doesn't have an in and out, it's a dead end.
There's fence lines on both sides, and when you get down there, then there's a corner post on each side, and it's fenced, so.
Yep.
To get to the river, you gotta walk another, and I walked it to see what's going on, cause this came up one other time. And you probably got another 100 feet to get to the river from the fence lines. And, maybe more than that, a couple hundred feet, but.
And like I said,
And it's a forest, it really is, you can't walk the road to get down there.
using historical aerial photo, it does not appear that it was ever maintained as a road at all by the county. Looked like a two-wheel dirt path for some time in the 50s and 60s, and then from there it was just grown up.
I wonder what their idea was to put that road there in the 1900s.
Who knows? Who knows?
Well, it could have been.
I think long ago there was, like I said, I think there was a little structure or building down there, but I don't see, in the historical aerial photos, I can't remember now if there was ever anything built back there or not. But even then, why it was a road,
Oh, I'm sorry.
why it was a road, not a driveway, I guess I don't understand it either.
If you go north of Letrano to, I can't remember the name of the road, but it's where the gravel angles off to the northeast. There's a chance that hooked up, but that's horse and buggy stuff, and as big as the river was at that bridle, I don't know how they would even cross at that point, but there's a chance those two may have hooked up.
Oh, I know you're talking about the one that goes back into Osgood's and through there, yeah.
It may have been a
That's a
path
dead end back
at one
there too,
time.
ain't it? Randy?
That's a dead end also.
Unless they're gonna get ice off the river back in the day, and use that
Yeah.
to come up.
It was a horse and buggy crossing at
Yeah.
one time. It's just,
And I don't know, Steve, you had mentioned that you guys took signs down, I don't know when that ever was. I mean, it would have been when we had
it
the
was
street
Leon
signs,
and I
right? I
in
mean,
my head.
and you guys wouldn't have taken them down without a
Correct.
directive from somebody to do that, and with that directive would have been probably a resolution by the board. I just don't know what year to look for a directive, but.
Correct, yeah, I have no clue how long ago Leon, and that's who I have in my head that was with me.
The engineer's listings might show something.
The engineer's listing shows legal not open.
Okay, well,
That's
there's
all it
kind of an
says.
answer right there.
Yep. Not open. But
Okay.
whether it got changed in the documents when something happened, maybe it was abandoned and I don't, in the file, I can't find a resolution where it was an abandoned road or it was abandoned officially. But sometimes that stuff doesn't always get translated to that DOT book either. So, I think the last listing I looked at, there were 2 legal not open roads that I could think of, and one was the loop north of Stacyville, where we straightened out and put the bridge in at the old, Fisher Bridge. That little road was legal not open, and this little one here, otherwise I don't know where the other one is.
Okay.
Was there something you guys were adding, or?
Oh, I just said so move.
Oh, okay, I
I
didn't.
mean, we got plenty of roads open and not enough guys to maintain them the way they are, and without spending a ton of money on opening something that's gonna take a lot of maintenance in and out,
It's a substantial amount of money, I think,
so.
I mean, if there were 50 houses gonna be built back there,
It's floodplain.
maybe, yeah, but. I mean,
There's
for-
one little bitty spot in
It's
there.
not practical.
So, all right, I'll know what to tell Keith when I call him.
Okay,
So, thank you.
you're welcome.
Is there any other questions or discussion for Rich? All right, Rich, thank you. We'll move on down to number 6, discussion and action on the American Rescue Plan Fund project.
So you guys had approved the maintenance garage across the street, and we were taking out of the capital projects fund. Sent you all the information I've had on the American Rescue Plan Act, and I believe we can use that money to pay for that garage, as it would be used for like a drive-through clinic for home health, and they're gonna store stuff over there. So I guess it's your guys' decision if you want us to, we'd have to, before June 30th, transfer to the line item to come out of that fund, if you want it that way, but it's up to you.
Discussion.
Sounds good to me.
I think it'd be a good idea.
Okay, we have to have a motion to that effect.
I'll move to go ahead and use that money to fund that maintenance garage.
I'll second that.
Mike has made the motion, Mark has seconded to use the American Rescue Plan funding to help on the shed project. Any further discussion?
Roll call, Mark,
Aye.
Mike,
All right,
Steve,
Aye,
Jim,
Aye.
Todd.
I,
so that went quick. Good, thank you. Now, moving down number 7, discussion and action on county social services 28E agreement. I guess, Rachel, you're gonna have
So we received this agreement, they requested we send it to the county attorney to have him look through. Not sure if Mark has any comment on that. I believe there was a county that left, or I think Sarah Gordo got out of it, I don't know. You know anymore?
That's right.
Couple counties left, the way I
Yeah.
have the structure. Since someone left, they reviewed the handbook and all.
But I believe it's just language to take those counties out of it.
Yeah, I'll bet that's all that would be, so. Do we have any motions to accept the county social services 28E agreement as newly stated?
I'll make that motion.
Mark has made a motion,
Second.
Jim has seconded. Any further discussion?
Roll call, Mike,
all right,
Mark,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Todd,
I,
Steve.
Aye. Thank you. Moving on. Items of note, meetings attended.
I had, Upper, and sorry, I can't talk, I had Upper Cedar Watershed one. It was actually 2 meetings, lasted over 2 hours long, I won't get into that quite that much. The first one was the annual meeting, had election of officers, that took place. Next one was the regular meeting, funding is a big thing for the watershed and with all watersheds. And, so they want to educate conservation benefits to the environment and demonstrate an overall need. So what they feel is there needs to be a coalition developed in order to get this support and to get this money. Coalition members would be the Farm Bureau, cattle producers, pork producers, the corn growers, and the soybean growers, because Iowa is agriculture, and those are the big dogs in the game. So if persons get them on board, you'd end up getting funding better, and things would be passed a lot better. Another item was approved by the state as the Resource Enhancement and Protection Act for conservation. There's discussion in the state in regards to amending the master matrix. Lots of people want that to happen. But the big word is the coalition that I just mentioned, those people don't really want it amended. And until you get those people on board with some stuff, you need their support to make some things happen. And then the last thing was, there's a lot of non-farming landowners in the state now. A lot of people don't know that family farms are going away. And you have a lot of, they want to start informing these landowners about conservation benefits that we have. And they want to just educate them in regards to cover crops, no-till, no-till, and to show them the savings as far as to use those practices, how it's in the long term will save them money, plus be better for them.
You're referring to investors.
Investors own a lot of Iowa anymore. And they don't, they're sitting in Chicago and it's just an investment, so they don't really know about all the good stuff that can happen. They just want, what was the yield this year?
That's what it is, they're investors, and it is all about money, and sometimes conservation doesn't pay enough.
No. So that was the last sentence, is, they need to be shown that some of these conservation practices can actually help them money-wise. So, that's it.
Mike?
Well, at a conservation board meeting, and there was a food vendor there that's gonna set up in the Interstate Park on the 4th of July just for the day. Something they're gonna try. We discussed the Pitson property, the cabin, they figure on having it for rent by August. They discussed the new hire, which Rich talked about, and just some updates on Riverside Park that they're still working on. And that was all I had.
Okay, I didn't have any meetings.
Nothing for me. Nothing for me.
Okay. Moving down, the NER management plan update. Rachel?
We have one for Mark Patterson, it's 1829 490th Street, St.
Okay. We're down to the tail end of the meeting. Public comments. Is there anybody out there that would like to have